Welcome to Challenger Deep, athletes rising above adversity, where we explore stories of athletes who faced their lowest points and risen to incredible heights. Did you know Challenger Deep is the lowest point in the ocean, making it the lowest point on Earth? When you're at your lowest, the beautiful truth is there's nowhere to go but up. We all face adversity, but how we choose to respond defines who we become. Join hosts Jeff Heggie and Tammy Matheny as we share powerful stories of everyday athletes' resilience, growth, and triumph. These stories will inspire you to rise above your challenges and reach new heights. Let's dive in.
All right, welcome back to our newest episode of Challenger Deep, Athletes Rising Above Adversity. Jeff and I are excited to have Caroline Tripp today with us. Caroline was a basketball player at Bridgewater State. And again, I always like to make sure people do their due diligence in telling us who they are. So not going to mess it up and let Caroline share a little bit more about herself. But Caroline, welcome to Challenger Deep.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I played, it only ended up being 3 years of basketball, unfortunately, at Bridgewater State due to the pandemic. I entered that my freshman year. I was a 2020 high school graduate and then was that group that got their first college season taken away. So I played 3 seasons at Bridgewater State and then had that extra year of eligibility, but was kind of ready to try something new. So I applied for a postgraduate internship at the NCAA. My background with work experience outside of being a student athlete was a nonprofit that I worked for during college, was the Light Foundation. It's run by Matt Light, a former Patriots player. He won a couple rings with Brady. And so the goal is to give back to the youth and kind of create some youth leadership and guidance to kids that maybe are a little lost in today's day and age. He really focuses on getting them outdoors and away from screens and in nature. So I did some stuff at the New England office, donor work, some press releases, public relations stuff. Really enjoyed that. And then kind of realized I could get into sports and stuff like that as a career. So applied for the internship at the NCAA, got it. Wasn't too confident going into it. And then it ended up, one thing led to the other. And I was graduating and driving out to Indianapolis last May. I just finished up a year long there. So I worked the Final Four in Cleveland, and then I worked the Final Four in Tampa Bay, and just got to learn a whole lot about myself, the Midwest culture, meet some amazing people. And it was the fastest, but just most unbelievable year of my life. So now I'm back in Massachusetts trying to figure out what my next step is. And just something a space I can be in where I can do impactful work and give back. I really love the women's side of sports, but anything I can do to just be in that space. I think it's so important to have this younger generation of athletes that have kind of been through that tricky pandemic era and been through a lot, just give back to the athletic space, whether that's on campus or on the pro side. Yeah, so actively seeking my next role now that I'm back in Massachusetts.
Hey, this episode of Challenger Deep Athletes Rising Above Adversity is brought to you by doTERRA, the world's leader in essential oils and wellness products. Are you ready to fuel your health and recovery like a pro? Listeners of this podcast can get 25% off all their doTERRA products and supplements. Head to the link in our show notes or go to confidentathleteprogram.com/doTERRA and start your journey to peak performance today.
Awesome. Well, what little I do know about you and all that you just shared, I don't think you're going to have too hard of a time of finding someone that could use you. But
Thank you.
we're excited to have you and to explore some of these adversities that you've been through. But I already made a note. I need to look up the Light Foundation. That sounds like an awesome area.
Awesome. All the programming that happens is out in Ohio, where Matt Light grew up. But we do the office is located near Gillette, and that's where all the fundraising and donor relations and events and stuff like that go on. But it's just great stuff that they do.
It sounds like it. So I'm definitely looking that up as soon as we get off here. But well, let's get into adversity. So we always like to start with tell us your definition of adversity.
Yeah, adversity. So the first thing that comes to mind is going to my college basketball days when I was a student athlete. My coach talked about adversity a lot. My junior year, we had a team of only 11 of us. So one or two people get injured, you can't have a full practice. Like there just always seemed to be some difficulty, but we were a good little squad. We were doing well, but that season we always kind of seemed to have setbacks. And instead of feeling bad for ourselves, we would always look at how can we face this adversity head on. Ended up winning the championship that year, but it just seemed like we couldn't catch a break. When I think of adversity, the story that comes to mind, like one of those life lessons, is that year we were in the championship and we were at home and we went down 23 points in the third quarter. And talk about adversity. All odds stacked against us, and we actually came back and won the game. And after the game, my coach just kept saying we faced adversity all year, so we were ready for it. So yeah, a lot of the time I think some people may think you can't prepare for adversity. I think that's true in the sense that you may not know how it's going to affect you, but if you can in your day-to-day life just see the positive in things and be able to keep going. I mean, down to if your coffee's made wrong, someone cuts you off, something like that. If you can switch your mindset in your day-to-day life, when those bigger adversity things happen, it's when that game came, okay, what can I look for right now? I can turn to the crowd. I can turn to my coaches. We utilized every single thing in that gym that we could and ended up winning that game. So that's an adversity lesson. I mean, I guess that broadly answers the question, but that's when I hear adversity, I just think of that season. And kind of if we could get through that, that really is going to help us the trajectory of the rest of our lives when we face adversity.
You know,
Awesome.
I love that because
Go ahead, Jeff.
I think a great lesson of that is, you know, of course we don't want to go through adversity at times, but adversity isn't bad because, you know, I look at some of the worst times in my life that I've gone through that I thought at the time. And now I look at the lessons I learned from them, and I'm grateful for the opportunities to go through that. And, you know, what you're saying there, all these different levels of adversity you faced made it that much easier to face the bigger ones. So that's awesome.
Thank you.
I didn't mean to interrupt you there, Jeff, but you know, I love a good comeback story. So, 23 points. That's close to being up there with a record of comeback, isn't it?
Yeah, it probably is. You know, I never looked, but I mean, they're a great team. They play a unique style of basketball where they kind of hockey subs. They go 5 in, 5 out and full court press the whole game. It was so fun being the point guard for that. But so yeah, that's definitely a lesson that I'll carry with me for a long time.
Well, during that comeback, do you think you did that adversity and how you responded really propel you after that? Or did you already have a good foundation in like welcoming that adversity when it happened?
I think I've always been someone that loves to just go through a challenge. And so I think when we were down, it was so easy. There was one glaring moment from this game. I remember I was about to get subbed back in. So I'm sitting in that first bench chair. And I should have mentioned this in my introduction, but I'm not sure if you're aware. I'm an identical twin. So
I didn't know that. Okay. I'm a twin as
I'm
well.
the only one here that's not a twin.
Best friend, biggest cheerleader. So she ran our fan section. So she always sat in this one seat, kind of in the middle in the front row. And I'm hanging my head a little and she's looking at me and she's just like, up, bring it up. And I think that sparked me like, I have this group of people here in this gym that believe in me. And how am I going to not try my best right now, no matter how much we're down? So that one moment, and that transfers to all areas of my life. I have my pack, my group of people that if they see me hanging my head or if I'm down, they're going to be right there to pick me up. So in the moment, I mean, no, you don't want to go down 23, but I mean, the second we got that momentum going, we all kind of gave each other this look when we got down to about 15-10 and we're like, we might do this. And then we did it. So
that's awesome. Yeah. 23 is a good number anyway. That's Jeff's and my favorite number.
Absolutely. I knew you were thinking that.
I love that you mentioned your pack because I think too often that when we are going through adversity, we forget how unity, our connection, can really help us get through whatever we're facing. So speak to that a little bit more about how that strengthened you throughout your basketball career and or life.
Yeah. So when I was going, I think I mentioned earlier, my freshman year was that COVID year. So just really funky. You kind of want to feel bad for yourself, but then you realize there's a whole class of college athletes going through this same thing together. So when we returned to campus my sophomore year, still kind of weird. The mandates are up and down. We're all kind of a little lost, getting back into the swing of things. And I just wanted a way to connect. I just felt we were all going through this together, but we're not really talking about it. So I'm not sure if you've heard of the nonprofit organization Morgan's Message. They do a lot of mental health awareness in college athletics. It's in honor of Morgan Rogers, a late Duke lacrosse player who took her life. So that kind of kicked in, started happening around 2020, 2021. They got big. And I saw a post that you could start a chapter at your school. So I created the first student-led mental health organization within our athletic department. So I started it and then kind of just created the Instagram account, didn't know how it was going to go. And I found these people I had never talked to before were messaging me, hey, I'm super interested. This is something I've wanted to do. And I'm like, here we have these 30 people just messaging me, not knowing that we've all kind of been thinking the same thing, but there was never a space to do it. So after my sophomore year, it just grew bigger and bigger. And it ended up being a whole bunch of us, student led, running events, having conversations. And I think you don't realize how many people are kind of maybe going through the same thing because no one wants to be the one to have those uncomfortable conversations. And it just takes that one person starting it. And it took that one person believing in me. I kind of pitched the idea to one of my assistant athletic directors, and she was like, you have our support, go do it. And it was awesome. It was a way to bring the teams together. We would go support each other at games. We'd get together in meetings. I would randomly get messages from these football players who you'd think football, they're big and tough. And hey, can we meet for lunch? I kind of want to talk. I'm going through this. And just to be able to have that community, we all went through this weird time together, and to leave an impact somewhere and left it better than you found it, was huge for me. That kind of also helped me find my passion for talking about mental health. I didn't realize how strongly it affected people until it affected me during the pandemic. And I am comfortable and confident in talking. And I think that it just took that person taking that step to bring that group together.
That's pretty awesome. Because a lot of times, whatever the adversity is, that's the hard part, is talking about it. Yep. And I think you took a great leadership role and probably had an impact on a lot more people than you even realize. But also, let's hear you talk a little bit more about your coach, because it also sounds like your coach was a great person to be surrounded with to help you all prepare for adversity as well.
Yeah. So my whole coaching staff, we just great crew. Like I said, small team. And I think the important part looking back that maybe we didn't realize we were in it is the repetitive. It gets redundant. We keep talking about adversity and preparing for these moments. And then when it comes, we were ready. And I think that it kind of clicked. Like we've talked about this all year long. My coach has been there, I think 27 years. I should know this. She'll kill me. This might be her 27th year, but she's a vet. And she actually brought in one of her former players who I'll shout out, Colleen Feeney. She played at Bridgewater and she does a lot of kind of mental athlete coaching. And she came in and she had launched this program to help college teams. And we went in, this is the beginning of the season, so we were way ahead of it, went in with our team and just dug into maybe what was causing problems, what was causing adversity, if there was stuff going on off the court, how could we deal with it? So to have that support and know that you could talk to them, and when it did come, it was like, well, this is nothing new for us. It's just on the bigger scale of being down 23 in the championship game. So I think the prep and the work and the time they put into it leading up to it just prepared us for that moment.
Sounds like a great coach there. I see too often in my work that athletes and or coaches like to try to prevent adversity or run away from it. But if you think about it, success comes from looking at it head on and rising above it. And I think that's really an important lesson, it sounds like you got from your coach.
Yeah.
Jeff wanted to mention your coach. I'm still want to dig back into your people here, your pack.
Yeah.
That had to come earlier for you to even welcome that in a coach. I'm sure that had to be created in your family or a earlier coach in your life.
Yeah. I relate a lot of the way I do things now to being a twin, and people kind of joke around. Oh my gosh, you could talk to anyone. This, that, they don't like going places with us because we'll just talk to anybody. But I think people don't realize growing up, I was never alone. I always had someone, but I was always talking. I was always competing. So even when I would go to some of my practices in college, it's like they couldn't stand me because I was not going to lose a drill. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'd be 7 years old, fist fighting my sister in the driveway. Like this isn't just a drill. So a lot of it relates back to her. We're the youngest. We have 3 older brothers, so we were always playing with the boys in the neighborhood and the older brothers. Yeah, our family dynamic, we're a blended family, so communication's always been very big for us to make things work. And yeah, so it comes back. I heavy on relying on my people. I think you can, I mean, I was going out to the Midwest not knowing really anyone, and I have a family out there now. So it's really, I think you can find your people anywhere and then keep them in your circle. And if you have people that believe in you, nothing sounds too big for what you want to achieve.
Love that. Love it. So I get the twin power though. And as I mentioned earlier, um, I have a male twin, so not identical, but I know the whole competition and the competing and a little extra drive there when you want him to do well, but you want to make sure you do better.
Right. You ask who's better, and it's like you don't want to sound cocky. I'm not gonna say her, but even in my games, I'm sitting in the front row and I think I'm really low on defense, and she's like, sit.
It's another level. I don't know if people can understand unless they've actually had a twin.
Yeah.
But I love hearing twin stories. So yeah. Um, Tell us another, the whole 23 coming back from 23 points, obviously a great adversity that I think is important for the athletes out there listening, because I think too often, well, this game just kind of check out. We've lost this game. So I think that's important to hear that, a game's never really over until the buzzer sounds. But I'm sure there's been some other key moments like that you can look back that was a turning point that really helped you, step above. Do you have any other stories you want to share?
Yeah, I'll steer away from the athlete side and go to kind of the professional side. So this just recently happened. I was coming off of my internship, really successful year, and trying to figure out what I was doing next. And there was a job that I was like, this job is made for me. Like, this is everything I want. And went through a 2-month long interview process. Felt really good about it, and they called me and they went another direction. Had nothing but good things to say, and so I remember I sat with it, didn't like, was super bummed, obviously. But then in that moment, I was like, okay, I can lay in my bed and pout about it, or I can go work out, I can go walk, I can go meet someone or talk about it. And I think that really clicked for me. It's like you can do everything right sometimes, and you can't control the outcome. I think we put so much pressure, especially as being an athlete, is trying to control every little thing. You can prep as much for something as you want. You can practice as much, train as much, and some things aren't in your control, which is frustrating for a person like me who puts that pressure on myself. But I think it's how you handle things. I could control going to get a workout in, going to talk to someone. That wasn't going to change the outcome, no matter how much I sulked about it and sat with it. And honestly, too, that happened for a reason. I firmly believe that maybe that wasn't for me and something else better is going to come. So that's actually kind of something I'm in the thick of right now still. I found that news out about a month ago. So I'm over it. And I mean, try to take good from the process. Something bad's going to happen. But you know what? I met good people who I still have in my corner and can still be a resource. I got some more experience and learned from it ultimately at the end of the day.
Jeff and I would call that a "this is good" moment. That, and I challenge you to read the "This is Good" African folktale.
This is
This is good. But I've even written a book. Well, I think it's over here, with sharing that folktale with a college team and how they used adversity and just kept saying, "All right, this is good" when something bad would happen. I wear it on my wrist. So that's my slogan in life. When something bad in life happens, just like you spoke to, too often people do just want to lay in bed. or get frustrated or mad. But nothing's good or bad till we decide it is. And I love how you followed up with you got to do this. You met some amazing people and all the good that has come, from it, even though you don't get that exact result you want in that moment. I firmly believe that sets you up for something better in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, there's time to be bummed and you can have that moment, but again, like I said, I could be mad and try to find out what and all those things, but ultimately the decision wasn't up to me, and that's for a reason higher than me.
One of the things I love too, it sounds like you reflect on your stories and experiences a lot for your own situations. And that's the whole purpose we wrote the book and we have this podcast is we want people to be able to reflect on the stories that we share to realize, I can get through adversity because look at these people who have already done it. They were 23 down and they still came back, those sort of stories. And so I love how you reflect on your own stories and can use that to strengthen yourself. And the best part is now you're sharing them that other people are going to be able to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important for people to tell their stories, to almost normalize it. I think the problem too with this social media driven world is it's just, here's all the good things I do. And the reality, that's not the reality, obviously.
Definitely. Yeah. But those challenges make us stronger. So we need to be sharing those more. And then instead of all the positive things, it's easy to beat a team by 23 if you're that much better. But you felt much better coming back from 23 against a solid team.
Yeah.
I told a high school team that one time, basketball team, that I can guarantee that you can go 10-0, 20-0 on the year. Let me schedule you, and I'll just schedule you against a bunch of 5-year-olds. But how good would you feel, that you accomplished anything? So, I do love how you have seen adversity as a strong point and a way to get you to somewhere higher. I firmly believe to help us do that, we have to know why we're doing something. And this is probably the cornerstone, and I ask everyone this, but what is your why? Like, let's go with basketball and then where you are right now in the professional space. But why did you play basketball? What was the bigger picture that gave you that burning desire to wake up for 6 a.m. workouts or to put it all on the line and trying to win every drill or, hey, I'm not going to lose, that mindset?
I fell in love with the process. I've seen there's some people who you see some people that are just really talented. They don't have to really work hard in the off season. They can go and it works for them. But for me, that wasn't going to be the case. I'm 5'4", so you kind of have to be gritty to play a sport like basketball. And I just always had the mindset of not being satisfied. The process for me being, I'm gonna study my film, see what I can do better, but also bring people together and connect with people. I mean, I love competing. Like my family, they hate playing spike ball or cornhole with me because it's just supposed to, no, this isn't just like a cookout. We're going to win. And people have told me, my teammates, I never wanted to lose when I was on your team. And I'm like, good. Why don't do something just to do it? And I would get frustrated in practice, and my coaches, they kind of saw that in me, and they instilled that in us too. Like, we're not just doing this drill to do a drill. You're doing it to get something out of it. And that's so transferable to all other areas. What can you get out of every day? My sister and I try to have a good conversation with someone every day. We have a list. Who have I talked to in a little bit? Who can I call? I love talking to people. So I think the process of what you can get out of something in the broader picture, like, yes, I could compete and win games. I could lose games. I could get my left-hand dribble better. But looking back, it's those lessons I learned because I put so much into it. I don't know that everyone has as many lessons from sports as someone like I do because I was willing to put something in every day. And looking back, like, we didn't walk into the success that we had. It was me and my teammates. Hey, if we're going to go out this weekend, we're going to be in the gym before getting shots up, or we're going to do a double session and things like that. I just really fell in love with you. It's so simple and it sounds so simple, but it's true. You literally get what you give. My dribble got better when I was doing consecutive dribble, breaking down like how it works. I just became so kind of obsessed with that. And it's the same with my friendships. And I talk about my pack. The reason that I have those friendships and these people behind me and my sister and I talk, because we work on those relationships, and you have to have difficult conversations. You have to show up for people. So, I mean, when something tough happens for me, I could have a line of people here for me because I've done it for them. So, I mean, that's going way off the topic of basketball, but just looking back, I really become obsessed with like the little part of the big picture and the process of getting in the gym early, connecting with people. I mean, I was connecting with other teams, other coaches, other referees, and it's funny when you run into these people in other areas of life, like you might not know how someone's going to help you or when someone needs you, or a conversation you have with someone that maybe you didn't know they even needed at the time. So the overall ability to connect with people through sport, figure out the process through sport, and then take all those lessons and transfer it to the rest of your life. I think it's hard. Athletes end playing and it's like, that's it. I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't, but when you look at the moments and the bits that you can take from it, you're still that athlete. You may not be practicing every single day.
That's awesome.
Love it. And I want to pause here, anyone listening, because I'm going to challenge myself to do this, but I love the challenge you and your sister have of having, it sounds like, one intentional conversation a day with someone else. And I love that because I feel like we get too busy in our day-to-day lives of just taking care of what's needed for work or the minutia of family life instead of just making sure that you have that one intentional conversation. That's gold. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
And so simple.
Absolutely. Well, couple things. As we're wrapping this up, I wanted to share. We talked about how powerful these stories are for our listeners to learn from. And if you haven't done it, please get our book. And there's so many stories in there that you can learn from. You can get it on Amazon, on Tammy's site, on my site. You can get a free copy at jeffhaggie.com/free book. There it is. And then, also what I want to point out is something Tammy was talking about. She was talking about This Is Good, something new that we have, the This Is Good and the Confident Athlete apparel shop. So we would love for you to come and get some of our apparel. You can get it on both our websites, or if you go to www.confidentathleteprogram.com/store, you can get it there too. And if you do, please share some pictures with us of where you're wearing your swag. And we are starting a Where in the World album of different people sharing where they're wearing their Confident Athlete and This Is Good swag. So any
Great.
final thoughts you want to share with us before we wrap things up here?
Yeah, just a kind of a fun little note. I was reading the book and there was a chapter on Aaron Matson.
We love that one.
Yeah. It's funny because so the UNC athletic director, Bubba, he's on the basketball committee at the NCAA. So when he was in the office, I don't remember what month this was. All my time is blurred together, but he came and spoke to some of us at work, and someone asked him about that hire. And he talked about how she went in and kind of pitched that idea to him, which is exactly what he said. And he also added something, which I just thought was so cool. She was like, someone saw her or something. She would go to the football facilities and watch and see what the coaches did there and like study and take notes. And she became so obsessed with it. And you look at these people that are great, and whether it's coaching, anything, they've become obsessed with the process and and I think people are like, oh, maybe she was just really good and she became a good coach. And that's not the case. She did more than maybe your typical newcomer coach would do. So I thought that was cool. That was in there. And I had heard him talk about it live, which was pretty neat.
That is awesome.
I think the world of Bubba and think we need more ADs out there. By the way, I am biased for everybody listening to you, Caroline. I'm a diehard North Carolina fan. I went to probably 10 field hockey games this year. So
awesome.
lacrosse as well. But the same with anyone listening that knows about lacrosse. Jenny Levy was the Aaron Matson before. She had won a national championship in lacrosse at Virginia, took over at North Carolina at 22-23 and started the program in women's lacrosse, and said that she learned by going and watching Anson Dorrance soccer, by going and watching Roy Williams's practices and trying to learn from others. So, I think that's a great message, and you are so right. It's not that Erin, well, she is a phenomenon for her age, but she put in the work. And a lot like it sounds like you've done throughout your basketball career and as a professional, you're putting in the work and trying to get the most out of what you're doing. And I love that about you. I love that about them. And that's what makes champions on the field or off the field. So I appreciate you sharing that.
No, I think just quickly, one more thing to add. Like you said, she was trying to learn from other people, and someone like Erin, who was just the best in what she did, could have easily walked in and thought she didn't need help from others because she's so good. But even the best people need that help from others. They need to learn from others. We all can learn from each other.
What is that? Humble but hungry.
Yeah.
She's confident, but she knows she can always learn more, and hungry to learn more.
Confident and cocky, and I think a lot of people don't see that.
Yeah. I love that distinction. What is your distinction of confidence and cockiness?
Yeah, I mean, like I talk back to practices, and I would just be ridiculous and chirping and talking, and I think that could be confused with cocky, but you have to be confident. I mean, if you don't believe in yourself, then why should anyone else believe in you? Like those players that are just always down on themselves, and it's so easy to do. I'm victim of it, but like me as an opponent, if I see my opponent hanging their head, oh, perfect, we got him. Like you can't show, and then if you show you're confident, it's like, oh, they're cocky. Well, which one is it?
Yeah, I always have athletes ask me that distinction, but you're right. You've got to be confident. No one else is going to believe in you if you don't.
Yeah.
So, I would like one question, since I am a women's basketball fan as well. Who's your favorite player out there?
Caitlin Clark, and that's not like the bandwagon. So I went to Cleveland. I watched her there. I moved to Indy right when she started with the Fever. I'm very fortunate to have seen her play live a number of times. She's unbelievable. She has done so much for the game. She's humble yet confident. And again, I think people confuse that with, oh, she's cocky. Well, no, she knows she's good. She knows that she's good, and she doesn't vocalize that, but in her game, I think the reason why she is so good is because she's confident. She knows what she can do, and she knows that she can keep getting better. Just a great leader. She's done a lot for the game, a lot for the city of Indy, which I was so fortunate to be in while she was there. So big fan of Caitlin. Definitely. I like that whole team's great. Lexi Hull, Kelsey Mitchell. They're just a bunch of go-getters. Really, really fun to see them play in person.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list. So, or bucket list, I should say.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to derail this, Jeff, with a women's basketball talk,
That's okay.
but I could talk basketball all day. This past year, kind of speaking to a little bit of what you have with your career, I really gained a lot of admiration for Chloe Kitts and how she wasn't that big of a name and how she just works her tail off
She does.
and she's created herself. I didn't know if you had any interaction with her or what your observation, what could others learn from her?
Yeah, she's I have never like interacted with her. I've seen her play. And being down in the paint, there's some people that she would play against that are bigger than her, and she's getting banged around, but she just sticks with it. I have some posts that I played too. I give them a lot of credit too, just being down there, and you have to want to get the ball and want to get the rebound, and she just wanted it. It was as simple as that. Great player too.
Yeah. I'm in South Carolina, so obviously she's in the news a lot more down here. But anyway, enough basketball. But I know if there's been a coach, administrator, or someone on here listening, they've been extremely impressed with you. If they wanted to reach out to you, how could they get a hold of you?
I'm on LinkedIn, just first and last name, and then my email is Caroline Tripp and then 24 at Gmail.
Not 23, but 24.
24. Big Kobe fan as a kid, so that was my high school.
Nice.
Okay, all right. That could be another debate. Kobe over Michael. We'll slave that for another day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been awesome hearing your stories and having you share that with us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for doing this. It's so important for people to have resources like this.
What if in just 4 weeks from now, your daily habits, your mindset, and your results look completely different? Better, sharper, more focused. That's exactly what the 4 week win challenge is all about. It's for high achievers just like you who are tired of starting over and are ready to build routines that actually stick. You'll get the tools, the accountability, and the momentum to crush your goals and build a version of yourself that you're proud of, starting now. So if you're serious about taking the next step, go to jeffhagee.com/win and let's make the next 4 weeks a turning point in your life.
Thank you for joining us on Challenger Deep, Athletes Rising Above Adversity. We hope these stories inspire and equip you to tackle life's challenges head on. Don't forget to visit www.confidentathleteprogram.com/Challenger Deep to get all of our free resources from the book, your copy of our book, and access to 2 free weeks of the Confident Athlete program. Remember, in life, adversity only visits the strong. It stays forever with the weak. Let's rise above together. See you next time.